Now, my reason for saying that is because everybody seems to think that we are a group that's just locked in on something, and that is not the way it is. I've been in Summerfield for 29 years. I was a former town clerk. And by the way, there have been 5 finance officers. Steve Kingsbury was a volunteer finance officer. So, and I've been a committee member and volunteer, and I'm asking you to vote for me to let me continue as your town council representative. I support the following issues. Community recreation for all ages, controlled developments in accordance with our town ordinance, conservation of rivers, streams, and wildlife, low and reasonable property taxes, positive meetings where all residents feel welcome and when they arrive and informed when they leave. I feel like that we have represented the town. We have listened to you. I thank you. I thank you for the people that came out to say what your thoughts were on the PUD. I thank you for that. And nobody has any right to say what they said I was thinking, because they don't know unless they talk with me. And so I don't think that is an issue that should be coming up, that somebody should be saying what I said or what I thought or something like that, unless you have talked to me. And I have not put down anybody in this community. The reason I did not answer any attorney make out copies for emails, I asked the attorney, I said, I got the same emails that everybody else got. The answers that people sent, I sent some of them were not copied to me. So I said, thank you for your comments, that's all. And he said, since there was everybody was getting the same emails, that if I got the same thing, there was no need in me sending copies. So that is my reason for not making copies of emails and getting them out. The attorney's not here to speak to that, but you're welcome to call his office any time that you would like to. And thank you so much. I would appreciate your vote to continue to serve.
Karen, is there any other things over there? And we have also the list for the rezoning while we're at it. Okay. Being done, we'll continue with the committee report. Historical committee.
We met on September 28th at the town hall to discuss some of the projects that we're working on. We will also be helping on November 12th to honor the veterans. We love doing this work. Most of you know that they built this monument out here, and so we're meeting there on Sunday afternoon, and they come in here for light refreshments. And anyone's welcome to come. Our next meeting will be November 30th.
Trails and Open Space met last month, and we had Sean Taylor's father, who was involved with starting the Virginia Creeper Trail that runs down to Jefferson, I think. Right? And he came and told us about the process and how they arrived at it and what they had done. It was very interesting hour, and we continue to investigate our open space in the town, and we continue to try to get it all someplace that somebody can look at it all at one time. Our next meeting is October the 26th at 6 o'clock.
Review committee.
I think that report will come from Continental Day.
Was there? What I was really impressed with was the process. Mike, at our last meeting, this way, at our last meeting, when you reported the process was slow, and the progress was slow, and the folks seemed to be down in the weeds. I just want to say that whatever the changes in between, I thought that was very valuable and added a lot to the process from an efficiency perspective. And I'll give Bob Jones a shout out. He's a project thought I thought the meeting was very productive. One caveat I had was, there, in the new ordinance, or in the ordinance rewrite draft, there is a section of plan development. I think that's fine for us. And from my perspective, if that's an hindrance to the committee doing its work, I believe they should, my suggestion to them would be to suggest that they remove it. And then they can get on with making the ordinance congruent with comprehensive plans to
It's not a bad idea, it's just a tool or a method that we use to.
I mean, I think the work is really, really good. I like the community dynamic. I think there's some conflict there, which I think is good. I think that's necessary to getting all things on the table. So I was really pleased with the meeting.
We'll put it on this agenda. I'm sorry.
I mean, more than anything, I want that committee to progress and progress as fast as possible. And the idea is to use the comprehensive plan, not any particular development, just.
Okay, we'll go to emergency services report.
So while we're there, Mayor, may I read a statement?
Oh, okay. Yes.
While we're here talking about development, and I've seen a number of items in the last week or so that caused some. I'd like to read a statement on behalf of the council. Dear citizens, to date there has been much said, written, and posted in regards to this elected body's position concerning development in Summerfield. This information does not accurately reflect the town council's intentions or wishes regarding development in our town. To accurately inform the citizens of Summerfield, the town council will clearly outline its position on current and future development. This elected body opposes the following types of development in Summerfield. We all can agree it's not appropriate, nor meets the policies of the comprehensive plan, town-wide high-density development, inappropriate large-scale commercial development, apartment complexes, high-rises, strip malls, other forms of development not supportive of our rural character as a town. This town council favors only development that conforms with the 12 policy areas and 106 individual policies of Summerfield's adopted comprehensive plan. To this end, we have appointed the Citizen Committee to review the draft Unified Development Ordinance, the UDO, and advise the zoning board on updates required to ensure the final UDO is congruent with the comprehensive plan. This committee meets twice monthly in a public forum, and citizens are encouraged and welcome to attend. We applaud the progress of this committee to date and await its list of recommendations, which are expected next spring, 2018. To further clarify our position on development, there is absolutely no truth to any assertion this council is working with developers to push through a PD ordinance. I'm going to read that again. There is absolutely no truth to any assertion this council is working with developers to push through a PD ordinance. Again, we have appointed the UDO committee to advise the zoning board on the specifications for all development districts in the draft UDO to ensure they conform to the comprehensive plan. If any questions or concerns from Summerfield residents remain, please do not hesitate to contact your elected representative. We are and remain your servants. Mark Brown, Mayor, Dina Barnes, Mayor Pro Tem, Mike Adams, Diane Laughlin, John O'Day, and Ms. Walker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll go to emergency services report.
Mr. Mayor, before we hit that, I know at the end of the meeting we've been recapping some public comments, but before everybody leaves, do you mind if we touch on that?
No, I don't want to go there. We want to go on with our agenda. Captain Jenna, the Summerfield Fire District.
In the month of September, the Summerfield Fire District ran 12 fire-related calls, 63 EMS-related calls, and 17 other calls. Our call total for September was 92 incidents. We installed 35 car seats and 3 smoke detectors. We reached over 350 children and 100 adults through public education and community outreach. This week is Fire Prevention Week. The slogan for this year is "Every second counts, plan 2 ways out." So it's important to have a fire escape plan and for your family to practice what to do in case of a fire. Also make sure you have working smoke alarms that will alert you to a possible fire. 3 of every 5 home fire deaths resulted from fires in homes with no smoke alarms or no working smoke alarms. If you are in need of smoke alarms, call us at the fire station. We have a lot of them, and we'll come out and install some for you.
Okay, thank you. From the Youngstown County Sheriff's Office, District 1, Master Corporal Goodnight.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Citizens of Summerfield. Before I hit these, I just want to say it's a pleasure to appear in front of you tonight. I'm in my 19th year of law enforcement here in Guilford County, where I've served with State Highway Patrol and under Sheriff Lawrence. And this is a fantastic area you live in. I know it's diverse, but this is a great area to live in. I think you should be very proud of being living here, and I'm proud to serve here in this capacity. Captain Elliott sends his best. He was busy tonight and delegated me to appear and just to give you some brief information about what's been going on here in the Summerfield area. We've had 631 calls for service in September. This was down about 40 calls from last year, so the Sheriff's Office has received about 40 less calls for service in the month of September. We've seen 7 Part 1 crimes, and these are the crimes that are kind of identified as maybe more serious. Some may or may not, depending on your interpretation of being serious or not, but the type of crimes that we really focus on trying to prevent deaths in any serious or violent crime in that area. Of these 7 Part 1 crimes, 2 were shoplifting. Most occur here at the Dollar General, just right down the way. Seems to be a hot spot for that. And 5 were breaking and entering. A few of those were just motor vehicles, which we'll touch on that here. The Sheriff's Office is really focusing hard on patrolling our public parks. Seen not here in the Summerfield area, in Oak Ridge, seen some car meetings in town parks during events. So we are really trying to, and as time allows, focus some area on these public places and try to show some presence there to deter any potential, just people reaching into mostly unlocked cars. People will just leave wires or things that can easily be seen in cars. And we really try hard to make a presence to deter people from just reaching in and grabbing someone's pocketbook and whatever they have in their car. So really, we're encouraging residents to hide your valuables, lock your car. If you have a storage building, put a lock on it. Most of what we're seeing crime-wise is it's not folks really breaking windows to get in. It's not knocking locks off. It's not smashing windows. As far as going into what they can easily get into. So please lock your valuables. Be diligent and secure your vehicles. Don't leave your garage open at night. Keep an eye out for each other. We have a next door neighbor app that's up and running. If you'd like to Google it and look into that, that's a great way for neighbors to talk to each other. We have put several signs up in the Oak Ridge and Summerfield area where we've seen some communities with the lock it and lose it signs, and you may have seen those. It just reminds everyone that when you go home at night, lock your car up. When you get out for the night, and actually call it a night. Other than that, that's really not a lot. And compared to our neighbors in Greensboro, you do live in a very safe place, and we work hard to try to keep it that way. And anything you all ever need from us, stop by the office, make a phone call to us, and we're here for you. That's what I said everyone. We're here for you. So if you need us, don't think any call is too little. If you have a desire or a need or something you'd like to share with the Sheriff's Office, this gets called here for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Manager, do you have any report from the emergency services?
Actually, our deputy clerk does.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so for the month of September, EMS ran 64 calls in Summerfield. Emergency management coordinated preparations and reporting for Hurricane Irma. Emergency management participated in National Preparedness Month and ran a social media campaign to prepare residents and businesses for future disasters, and added over 1,000 new registrants in the Gianni system.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll get to public hearings. Mr. Manager, you want to talk about the first public hearing on
I did just briefly, and just wanted to connect with our town attorney on the phone and make sure, Mr. Hill, are you there? Can you hear us? Mr. Hill, can you hear us? Okay, so we are at the first public hearing. This was in reference to name change related to Brookbank Road with that realignment. And we had sent out a notice that the citizens had requested that that be changed with the realignment. We had sent out a notice, and then after we were looking at it closer, there are actually 3 portions, remaining portions that need to be renamed, so we're going to regroup on that. So the request is that you just continue this hearing to a time and date certain. Specifically, it would be good if we could do this at the November 14th council meeting at 6:30, and we would just advertise appropriately, notice appropriately if that is the desired council.
That's the best way to go, in my opinion.
Okay.
And is it to clarify that one of the reasons is the DOT sketched out the fact that we needed 3 separate road names.
There are 3 segments remaining.
So you just need a motion for that?
A motion for continuance specifically to that date and time.
Will.
I'd make a motion to continue the public hearing action on the road name change for that portion of Brookbank Road to whatever DOT says we need to do it, and to reschedule that for November 14th council meeting at 6:30 p.m. so the entire process could be handled simultaneously.
Any motion on Mr. Barnes, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Okay. All right. We're going to move to the next public hearing, reference to rezoning case RZ 3-17. That's the kind
Before we start, on the advice of Attorney Hill, I'm going to recuse myself. Living so close. Bill advised.
Bill, in case you couldn't hear that well enough, okay, Mr. Walker would like to recuse himself. Could you just speak to your thought on that for the audience?
I think it's that Mr. Walker owns property adjacent to the subject property, so he will use himself.
It's across the street, it's not adjacent.
I don't know, he could have a community interest in it.
He said he could have a pecuniary interest in it, and so you want to, oh, he says, okay, so,
I think the law should change.
I'll make a motion that we excuse Mr. Walker from voting, the chair
Any motion by Mr. O'Day, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Martin. Further discussion on the matter? All in favor, raise your hands. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Planner, you want to hear this?
I will. Staff received a request to rezone just over an 1.5 acre property at the location that the arrow is pointing to. It's directly across the street from the, I believe it's called the Summerfield Mediplex, where Rod Brown's chiropractic office is. This is an individual who is purchasing the property in order to set up a dental practice. And the additional rezoning request does limit the uses to the dental offices and related laboratory. the zoning board met and does recommend approval. Their recommendation is in your packet. Their written recommendation for your use. This is a good, staff feels like this rezoning district request is in keeping with the comprehensive plan. The current town core overlay for this area and the scenic corridor overlay that actually overlaps on this property from 220. Thank you, yeah. Two properties, so there's two separate properties that they'll combine into one. The frontage on 220 will not be used as access. Now that 220 is widened, wherever there is a driveway now on 220 is where there will be driveways in the future. So that's one way of limiting development. So the access to this property will be off of Auburn Road. And the acreage that they have there will be necessary for the building, parking, and stormwater device to make sure that they're sending clean water back into the ground. I think that pretty much covers it. The applicant is here to, if you, Scott, the next slide shows the notice area that we sent the public hearing notices to. There's two different properties, so there's two circles. They end up, but everybody within both of those circles was noticed.
Lot one owned by the same.
It's owned by the same family, but not the same individual.
Is it
The lot to the west, are you talking about?
the one that borders Auburn and Summerfield? No, I'm talking, yeah, that one to the left.
No, I think he's talking about to the west. Are you talking about the
Yeah.
property that's not being asked to be rezoned?
Right.
Yeah, no, it's owned in the same family, but not the same owner. And actually, this is even a better location reference. The CVS is there.
Yeah, right.
So this property, this building would be behind the CVS, but fronting on Auburn Road.
Are there any plans for the particular occupant under policy 1.6 to have shared driveways and things of that nature? 1.6 of the comprehensive plan.
We discussed that when he came into the office. It's not feasible for the CVS property because of the stormwater retention device that's there. The way the property can be shared with the property to the west will be determined during the site plan review. And some of the initial concepts that he's shown would allow that opportunity.
Another concern I would have about the property is just with a thriving business of a dental office with possible multiple dentists, which I suspect that would be the goal of any dentist office, and then the medical plex that's going to be obviously a thriving business in 5 years. What does the traffic pattern look like at Auburn and Summerfield, Auburn and 220? What kind of impacts will that be?
This kind of business and its hours throughout the day don't generate a lot of one-time traffic. Although we don't require a traffic impact analysis for this type of rezoning, I'm just hear Bill saying to me that, is he warning that the question isn't
He's
germane?
actually connected through Summerfield News, so he's hearing it and seeing it.
Okay.
Well, I'm actually recording, it's not live right this minute. I'm going to upload it later.
Okay, so what did Bill say?
I mean,
missed it.
I don't,
We just lost connection, but we'll get him back.
I can say that while we don't require an analysis, some kind of impact analysis for this type of request, there aren't certain peak hours of the day when there'll be a lot of large, big traffic.
Okay, and then another concern that I have is the groundwater runoff that would be required. Could you explain that to me?
Yeah, the property owner is going to be building a stormwater retention device. What that does is any runoff from the rooftops and the parking area, any paved surface, will go through a device to be filtered before it's returned to the ground. So it's a really excellent way of returning cleaner water to the ground.
And what kind of space would that require on a building site like that?
Site plan will determine, and our engineer, our watershed engineer, watershed stormwater engineer will be reviewing all those plans, Mike, and make sure that that we have thresholds in our ordinance where the water has to be treated to a certain extent. And that
So
will determine
there wasn't a plan necessarily put forth by
no,
the new person occupying the property?
correct. At this point, we're just rezoning the property. The next step will be for them to submit a site plan for the zoning board to approve.
One question I had, I'm sorry.
No, thanks.
One question I had is fall hardwoods. Have you seen anything to indicate how much of the wood would be left, or is it all?
Some of the initial conceptual site plans that he's offered. Yeah, well, and again, it's not, it's not part of the zoning, so in our ordinances don't have a tree preservation requirement currently. Our current ordinance doesn't, it's one of the things that we're going to be reviewing in the UDO. However, we'll just work closely with the applicant to try to retain as many trees as possible.
Let's be careful about what site plan stuff versus for zoning.
Yes?
Yes, Mr. Hill?
Just another question.
Well, at this point, it would just be about a tree preservation requirement, but we don't have such a requirement, so that could have been a condition.
This is just informational, not a controversial. Is there a dentist in Dr. Rob Brown's complex currently?
No, usually when someone comes into my office, I make them aware of other properties in the area, but I believe the applicant will speak to the market and the need for a dentist office. Although we don't regulate the.
Right, correct. I thought it was just an informational
But
component.
he does offer some interesting information about that.
So are we short dentists?
I think it's like, you have to have two drugstores and several, I don't know.
I'm with you, Carrie, it's just a
Thank you,
zoning thing.
gotcha. His bill is reminding us that we were just talking about zoning for the property, and a lot of these questions will be applied to the site plan review.
Okay, other council questions? Okay, are we ready for
The applicant to present before you open the public hearing.
He's in the hot seat.
Who wants to go? Who wants to go?
My name is Mike Summers. I'm with Stark Development. We're the unofficial, at this point, general contractor working with Dr. Roberts, who's sitting here. We also have Ethan Creed and Horace Clayton from Hugh Creed Associates, who are our civil consultant for the project, and have done some of the initial site plans and work with directly with Jerry. Obviously, because this is a zoning hearing, I won't get too much into the building, but I'd be glad to address any questions that you may have. Dr. Roberts has done some studies of the area. We specialize in building dental offices, and I guess I was a little hesitant to say development was part of our company name, given the nature of tonight's meeting, but I can tell you that we specialize in dental and medical, so hopefully that will get me saving my car. But hey, I come from a much smaller town actually than Summerfield. We have no stop spotlight, so I can also relate to wanting to keep a small town. So, but anyway, at the point, Dr. Rups has done some studies. He lives in nearby Oak Ridge. We get along very well, family people. He's going to be a great benefit to your community here. He's done some studies. You do look at general radius, population within that radius, practitioner to general public ratios. And I can tell you that this location in Summerfield actually has a very beneficial ratio and also is showing good growth potential as well. So he's done a lot of homework. And I also wanted to address, I know part of the write-up that we had given Carrie included related lab. Just so you know, for your understanding, a dental clinic usually has a lab inside the building. It's simply just for modification of dental fixtures, modification of crowns and that kind of thing. There's not really any lab in the general sense of the term, biohazard issues going on with that lab. So with that, I'm glad to address any questions you have.
Well, this will only be for dentists.
We've limited the uses to just dentist and associated laboratory. That was a question that came up during the zoning board, so that's why.
Okay, another question, council? Okay, thanks. Anyone else have anything to say?
You can open the public hearing.
Okay. We're going to open the public hearing in just a moment. And the way we're going to do this is we will open the public hearing and the proponent, the developer, owner will have a total of 30 minutes to, plus the public speaking in favor of it. We'll have a total of 30 minutes to speak in favor of it and give any information that you haven't already given. And then any opponents will have a 30 minutes, with the speaker for 3 minutes to give any type of opposition. We'll then have, should it be necessary, we'll have a grand total of 15 minutes rebuttal. Opponents, 3 minutes per speaker. Opponents, 3 minutes per speaker. And then we will go into council discussion and go from there. So we'll open the public meeting and we will go ahead and start with the proponents. Do y'all wish to have, say anything else before the public hearing about it? Okay. Are there any persons wishing to speak in favor of the development? The zone? Again, ask if anyone wishing to speak in favor of the rezone. Okay, hearing no one, we'll go to the